Welcome back to We Are Cosmic, the place where we break down everything crypto, finance, and institutional moves in the simplest way possible. If you want to stay ahead of the market and understand where smart money is moving, you are in the right spot. Today, we've got some huge breaking news that is likely to shake up XRP and the entire crypto market, and I'll make sure you get the full picture in an easy-to-understand way. Right at the start, let's get straight to the point. Moments ago, we got reports that have sent waves of optimism and concern through the market at the same time. On one hand, there's a lot of positive movement around the Clarity Act, something that could completely change how crypto operates in the United States. On the other hand, global tensions are rising between the United States and Iran, which could trigger sudden market volatility. So if you hold XRP or are curious about crypto, this is critical information you need to understand. Now, if you are as excited about Ripple and XRP as I am, type an X in the comments and smash that like button. Trust me, this is one update you don't want to miss. Let's start with the geopolitical situation. According to recent reports, President Trump is reportedly considering an initial limited strike on Iran to push them towards a nuclear deal. Iran, on the other side, is encouraging Hezbollah to prepare for a potential conflict. Advisors are now warning that there is a 90% chance of military action happening in the coming weeks. Naturally, this creates uncertainty and fear in the market. Investors tend to react strongly to such news, which could temporarily pull the price of XRP and other cryptocurrencies down. In addition, we're seeing a significant U.S. naval buildup, suggesting that a potential conflict could be imminent, and countries like Israel are preparing for possible escalation. While geopolitical tension is serious, there's optimism on the domestic front as well. Ripple's CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, is actively pushing for the Clarity Act, which aims to provide legal clarity to the U.S. crypto and blockchain industry. Remember, Ripple fought a long legal battle and proved in court that XRP is not a security. This clarity has been crucial for Ripple, and now the industry is hoping to gain the same legal certainty. Brad believes that passing the Clarity Act is essential for the entire market to thrive and grow in the United States. Why does this matter for you as an investor? Because clarity reduces regulatory risk. Currently, the crypto space in the US operates in a kind of limbo, where it's unclear which assets are considered securities and which aren't. This legal uncertainty can hold back investment, slow innovation, and create unnecessary fear in the market. Once clarity is achieved, we could see a huge wave of institutional adoption, especially in the stablecoin market, which is already becoming the gateway for big financial players to enter crypto. So, in short, we have two major forces affecting the market right now. Geopolitical risk, potential US-Iran conflict could cause a short-term pullback. Regulatory clarity, the Clarity Act is moving forward with estimates now as high as 84-90% chance of passing by April 2026, according to insiders like Brad Garlinghouse and Ripple's legal team. As a crypto expert, I can tell you this is a pivotal moment. Short-term fear from global events is real, but long-term clarity could be the biggest catalyst this market has ever seen. For XRP holders, this could mean an incredible opportunity, especially if prices dip temporarily before a massive bull run. Now that we've set the stage with the breaking news and the geopolitical risks, let's take a closer look at what's happening on the regulatory side with the Clarity Act. This is something every crypto investor needs to understand, especially if you're holding XRP or looking to enter the market. So, what exactly is the Clarity Act? In simple terms, it's a proposed U.S. law that aims to clearly define which digital assets are considered securities and which are not. Right now, the crypto market in the U.S. is operating under confusing and outdated rules. Many regulators, especially the SEC, were trying to force cryptocurrencies into a framework designed for traditional stocks and bonds, which just doesn't fit the crypto world. This has created uncertainty for projects, investors, and financial institutions. Ripple's legal battle was a turning point. For years, the SEC claimed that XRP was a security, which would have meant it had to follow strict rules similar to stock ownership. Ripple fought this in court, and in a landmark decision, the judge ruled that XRP is not a security. This was huge because it proved that cryptocurrencies can exist outside the old securities framework. But Ripple's case alone doesn't give the entire industry legal certainty. That's where the Clarity Act comes in. If passed, the Clarity Act would establish clear rules for all digital assets in the U.S., making it easier for companies to innovate without fear of sudden lawsuits or regulatory crackdowns. It would also allow institutional investors to enter the market more confidently, knowing the rules are defined and fair. Imagine the amount of money that could flow into crypto once institutions feel safe. This is why many experts believe the Clarity Act could be a major catalyst for the next bull run. Right now, the numbers look very promising. Last week, the chances of the Clarity Act passing were around 50-50, but they've surged to 84%. And some insiders, including Brad Garlinghouse, are saying it could be as high as 90%. This shows that lawmakers are taking the crypto industry seriously and that progress is being made faster than many expected. Another key point, the Clarity Act would help the stablecoin market, which is becoming the gateway for corporate adoption of crypto. Companies are already exploring how stablecoins can simplify payments, reduce fees, and improve liquidity. If the Clarity Act passes, we could see more CFOs, treasurers, and financial institutions embracing crypto solutions, creating real-world demand for XRP and other major cryptocurrencies. Now, some of you might wonder, what's the difference between the Clarity Act and Ripple's court victory? Well, Ripple's win was specific to XRP, while the Clarity Act would apply to the entire U.S. crypto ecosystem. It's like winning one battle versus winning the entire war. This is why the crypto community is so focused on this legislation. It could change the rules for every crypto project, from Bitcoin to Ethereum to new emerging tokens. It's also worth noting the timeline. Experts predict that if all goes well, the Clarity Act could be signed by the end of April 2026. That's just around the corner, and the momentum is building quickly. Lawmakers are holding meetings with both crypto leaders and traditional banking executives, showing that collaboration between Wall Street and the crypto industry is becoming a reality. To summarize this part, the Clarity Act provides legal certainty for digital assets. Ripple's court victory was specific to XRP, but the Clarity Act affects the whole industry. Institutional adoption of crypto, especially stablecoins, is likely to accelerate once clarity is achieved. Numbers are looking strong, 84-90% chance of passage, which could trigger a significant market rally. First, let's address the short-term risks. As we discussed earlier, there's a lot of geopolitical tension with the US and Iran. Advisors are warning of a 90% chance of a strike, which could happen in the coming weeks. Events like this often trigger fear in the markets, causing prices to drop temporarily. For XRP, this could mean a pullback even if the fundamentals remain strong. But here's the important part. Short-term dips don't always mean bad news. They can create opportunities. Many smart investors view these temporary pullbacks as chances to buy XRP at lower prices before the next upward movement. Historically, cryptocurrencies, especially XRP, have shown that after periods of uncertainty, strong fundamentals can lead to rapid rebounds. Now, let's talk about the long-term outlook, which is extremely promising. The Clarity Act, if passed, would give the entire U.S. crypto industry legal certainty. For XRP, this is huge because it reduces regulatory risk, which has been a major factor holding prices down for years. Once clarity is achieved, we can expect increased adoption, more institutional investment, and greater public confidence. These are the ingredients for a potential bull run that could surpass anything we've seen before. Another factor to consider is stablecoin adoption. Ripple has been leading the way in showing how stablecoins and XRP can be used by corporations and banks for real-world transactions. Brad Garlinghouse and other executives have been working closely with financial leaders to help them understand and leverage stablecoins. Once major corporations start using these solutions, demand for XRP could rise significantly. This is not speculation. It's based on real institutional interest and ongoing dialogue with regulators. Let's look at some numbers. Currently, the Clarity Act has an 84% chance of passing, with some insiders estimating 90% probability. Combine this with potential short-term dips due to geopolitical events, and you get a market situation where timing your entry becomes crucial. Investors who understand these dynamics can position themselves to buy during fear and sell during optimism, a classic strategy for success in volatile markets. It's also worth noting that the Fear and Greed Index is currently showing extreme fear. While this may feel unsettling for seasoned investors, extreme fear is often a signal that the market may be close to a turning point. History has shown that markets often rebound strongly after periods of extreme fear, especially when long-term fundamentals like the Clarity Act and Ripple's ongoing adoption remain strong. Geopolitical tensions could trigger temporary price drops. Opportunity pullbacks can be a chance to buy XRP at discounted prices. Long-term potential, Clarity Act, and institutional adoption could drive the next major bull run. Stablecoins, corporate adoption is increasing, which directly benefits XRP. Market psychology: extreme fear often precedes strong recoveries. Now that we've talked about XRP's price outlook and the opportunities around the Clarity Act, let's dive into what Ripple is actually doing behind the scenes. Understanding their strategy and partnerships will give you a clearer picture of why XRP could be a strong performer in 2026 and beyond. First, let's talk about leadership. Ripple's CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, has been a pivotal figure for the entire crypto industry. Even after a massive legal win proving that XRP is not a security, he continues to fight for clarity for the whole US crypto ecosystem. This isn't just about Ripple, it's about creating an environment where all blockchain projects can thrive and innovate without constant legal uncertainty. His proactive approach has put Ripple at the forefront of regulatory discussions and strengthened its reputation with both investors and institutions. Alongside Garlinghouse, Ripple's chief legal officer, Stuart Alderoty, plays a critical role. He has been deeply involved in the Clarity Act discussions and is considered one of the most influential voices in ensuring that the legal framework for crypto in the US becomes more predictable and fair. The combination of strong leadership and legal expertise gives Ripple a competitive advantage, especially compared to other crypto projects that are still navigating regulatory gray areas. Next, let's talk about partnerships. Ripple has strategically aligned itself with major financial institutions and banks worldwide. These partnerships are not just marketing, they are practical collaborations aimed at integrating XRP and Ripple's payment network into real-world financial systems. By connecting banks, payment providers, and corporations to blockchain solutions, Ripple is positioning XRP as a go-to digital asset for cross-border transactions. This real-world utility is a key reason many investors see XRP as having long-term upside potential. Ripple is also focusing heavily on stablecoins. Brad Garlinghouse has highlighted that stablecoins are a gateway for corporate adoption of crypto, allowing companies to reduce costs, increase transaction speed, and manage liquidity more effectively. Ripple's strategy here is brilliant because it bridges traditional finance and crypto, creating demand for XRP while also showcasing the practical value of blockchain technology. Another key insight is Ripple's approach to regulation. Instead of avoiding government interaction, Ripple has been actively engaging with lawmakers, regulators, and policymakers. This includes meetings at the White House with leaders from both the crypto and banking sectors. Ripple understands that collaboration with regulators, rather than confrontation, is the fastest way to achieve clarity for the industry. This proactive stance has positioned Ripple as a trusted player in Washington and around the world, which could translate into faster adoption and institutional confidence. Finally, let's touch on timing and market positioning. Ripple isn't just waiting for the Clarity Act to pass, they are actively preparing to capitalize on the next market surge. Their legal victories, partnerships, and stablecoin initiatives all point to a well-thought-out strategy that could significantly boost XRP demand once regulatory clarity arrives. Investors who understand these moves can anticipate when the market is likely to react positively, giving them an edge in positioning for growth. Brad Garlinghouse and Stuart Alderoty are driving Ripple's strategic and legal initiatives. Partnerships, collaborations with banks and corporations enhance XRP's real-world utility. Stablecoins. Corporate adoption creates new demand and bridges traditional finance with crypto. Regulatory engagement. Ripple's proactive approach with lawmakers sets it apart from other projects. Market timing. Ripple is strategically positioned to benefit from clarity and institutional adoption. We discussed the Clarity Act, XRP's price outlook, and Ripple's strategy. Now it's time to shift our focus to global events that could influence the crypto market, particularly XRP, in both the short and long term. First, let's revisit the geopolitical situation. Recently, there's been increasing tension between the United States and Iran. Reports suggest that President Trump is considering a limited military strike on Iran to push them towards a nuclear deal. Meanwhile, Iran is reportedly encouraging Hezbollah to prepare for potential conflict, and countries like Israel are raising their alert levels in response. Advisors warn that there is a 90% chance of action in the coming weeks. Why does this matter for crypto investors? Geopolitical risks create market uncertainty. Investors often react by moving their assets into perceived safe havens, which can temporarily pull down crypto prices, including XRP. These dips are usually short-term reactions rather than reflections of a project's fundamentals. For those holding XRP, it's important to recognize that while short-term volatility may occur, the long-term prospects remain strong, especially with the Clarity Act and Ripple's institutional efforts in play. Next, we need to consider U.S. tariffs and Supreme Court rulings. There have been recent updates on tariffs affecting international trade, and a Supreme Court ruling is expected soon. Trade policies like tariffs can influence global financial markets, affecting liquidity and investor sentiment. While crypto isn't tied directly to traditional markets, large-scale economic shifts can create indirect impacts, leading to short-term volatility in digital assets. It's also worth noting that market sentiment is currently influenced by the Fear and Greed Index, which shows extreme fear. When fear dominates, investors often sell impulsively, creating price drops that don't reflect actual value. Historically, extreme fear can present opportunities for smart investors to buy at discounted prices, especially when the long-term fundamentals, like Ripple's legal clarity and institutional adoption, remain solid. Now let's connect global events to XRP specifically. Unlike other cryptocurrencies, XRP has strong real-world utility and growing adoption by banks and corporations. This means that while geopolitical or economic events may create temporary volatility, demand from financial institutions could stabilize or even boost prices once the dust settles. For example, if the Clarity Act passes while temporary market fear is high due to geopolitical news, this combination could create an ideal buying opportunity. Another important point is that Ripple and other crypto leaders are actively engaging with both regulators and financial institutions, even during times of global uncertainty. Meetings at the White House and dialogue with executives from major banks show that the institutional adoption of XRP and stablecoins is accelerating, despite market noise from international events. This means that the crypto industry is building a foundation that is more resilient to global shocks than it has been in the past. Geopolitical tensions, US-Iran conflict, may cause short-term volatility in XRP and the broader crypto market. US tariffs and Supreme Court rulings could influence investor sentiment and create indirect effects on crypto. Fear and Greed Index shows extreme fear, which historically presents buying opportunities. XRP's real-world utility and institutional adoption could stabilize the market during global uncertainty. Long-term fundamentals like the Clarity Act and corporate adoption outweigh short-term global risks. The Clarity Act, likely to pass by April 2026, providing legal certainty to the U.S. crypto industry. This is a massive catalyst that could unlock institutional adoption and growth. Ripple's leadership and strategy, Brad Garlinghouse and Stuart Alderoty, are actively guiding Ripple's direction, ensuring XRP continues to gain real-world utility through partnerships and stablecoins. Global events. While geopolitical tensions, such as the US-Iran situation, can cause short-term volatility, XRP's adoption by banks and corporations provides a stabilizing factor. Market sentiment. Current fear in the market creates potential buying opportunities, particularly for investors with a long-term perspective. Now let's discuss potential market scenarios. Scenario 1, regulatory clarity drives a bull run. If the Clarity Act passes as expected, we could see a wave of institutional money entering the crypto space. Companies exploring stablecoins and blockchain solutions may start using XRP more actively, driving up demand and potentially creating a strong upward price trend. Scenario 2, short-term pullbacks due to geopolitical events. Even with strong fundamentals, sudden news like military tensions or economic shifts could temporarily lower XRP prices. However, for patient investors, this could be a strategic opportunity to buy more XRP at lower levels before the next leg up. Scenario 3, combination of clarity and market opportunity. The ideal scenario is a short-term dip caused by fear, followed by the passing of the Clarity Act. This would create an environment where XRP is both affordable and positioned for massive growth, making it a perfect entry point for long-term investors. So, how should investors approach this? Here are some practical strategies. Stay informed. Track updates on the Clarity Act, Ripple partnerships, and geopolitical events. Knowledge is your best defense against panic selling. Position for opportunity. If the market dips due to temporary fear, consider accumulating XRP for the long-term potential. Think long-term. XRP's real value comes from adoption, utility, and legal clarity, not daily price fluctuations. Patience and understanding fundamentals are key. Diversify. While XRP is promising, always maintain a balanced portfolio to manage risk. Finally, remember that markets are driven by both fear and opportunity. Extreme fear can create temporary setbacks, but strong fundamentals like Ripple's strategy, the Clarity Act, and growing institutional interest can lead to unprecedented growth. As an XRP investor, understanding these factors gives you an edge over casual traders who react emotionally to market noise. To wrap up, here's the big takeaway. 2026 could be a defining year for XRP and the US crypto market. With regulatory clarity, strategic leadership, and growing adoption, the potential for a major bull run is real. At the same time, short-term global events could create buying opportunities for smart investors. If you approach this with knowledge, patience, and strategy, you can position yourself for maximum advantage. That's it for today's breakdown. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to We Are Cosmic for more easy-to-understand crypto insights. Let us know in the comments your thoughts on XRP, the Clarity Act, and what you think the next few months will bring for the market. Stay cosmic, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next update.